I'd like to introduce Michael Skinner. Michael is a KPC, KRC student, and he's a veteran. And he approached us and we talked how you can help veteran students, how can you better understand veteran students. We have a good-sized population of veteran students. We have a number of veteran employees too. So we're really happy that Michael agreed to do this. So please give him your attention and listen to what he says. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having me here. My name is Michael Skinner, and I'm here to talk to you today about our veterans in the classroom, their transition into the civilian world and college environment, what veterans experience, and how you can help. I'll be discussing some of my own experiences transitioning from soldier to student, and how college has helped me overcome obstacles and be able to function in a society after military service. When I was in high school, I woke one morning to my dad yelling in a frantic voice. Wiping the sleep from my eyes, I overheard a news report stating that a plane had accidentally flown into one of the World Trade Center towers. Embarrassingly, I didn't even know what the World Trade Center was at that time. I watched the television intently as the second plane struck, and it became quite clear that this was no accident but an attack on our soil. That day at Skyview High School is one I will not soon forget. My teachers played a parental role in an attempt to keep all of us students calm. One teacher told the class, "What happened today will change the course of history and impact our lives for years to come. Things will never be the same." I had no idea how correct that teacher was. I was upset and offended with what happened in New York that day. It was on that day that I decided what I would do once I reached adulthood. I couldn't get out of high school fast enough. As soon as I graduated high school, I left for the active duty army. I enlisted for airborne infantry. I served as both an active duty soldier and a National Guardsman from 2005 to 2015. My term of service took me across the United States as well as to the Middle East. I never thought I'd ever attend college. It just wasn't for me. Growing up, I didn't think I possessed the intelligence nor capabilities to attend school. I was never a good student, no matter how hard I tried. When I left active duty in late 2009, I was awarded the post-9/11 GI Bill, and I decided to give college a try. It wasn't easy. I struggled in school, but I struggled even more simply adjusting to a bizarre, structure-free life. I'd like to point out in this presentation that the lessons I've learned through the college experience have made it possible for me to do things previously thought impossible, like be in front of groups of people, or even talk in front of a group of people. What is a veteran? I want to break that stereotype of a veteran being some scruffy old man with a funny hat. A veteran is a person for who a number of years has placed themselves second and their nation first. A person who left the comforts of their home to ensure the safety of their country, whether it be on board a ship or as a crew member in a tank. A veteran is a defender who has spent time away in a far-off desert, ocean, jungle, you name it, and is finally back home. Let's work to make that homecoming a welcoming experience. It is coming home that is too often the most challenging part for the service member. The transition out of the military is often harder than the transition into the military, and we all know that it's pretty hard to transition to the military lifestyle. I'd like to show you a video that highlights some of the difficulties returning veterans experience. After returning from the Middle East and coming home from the Army, I visited my old high school and gave a presentation in my former high school history teacher's class. The students asked a lot of questions, but the most frequently question asked was, "What's Iraq like? What's it like over there? People are curious to know and deservingly have the right to. Is it anything like what the news tells us?" The best way I found to answer that question and describe my time in service over there is simply by stating that it was the best and the worst time of my life. It wasn't all bad, but understandably it was pretty far from pleasant. The greatest thing about being in Iraq, the most cherished and greatly missed aspect, was definitely the friendship and camaraderie formed between myself and the men that I served with. The bonds created in combat, forged under fire, are incredibly strong. Nothing, not even the threat of death, can break that loving connection. Every day I went on missions in a dangerous part of the world, but I did it with my best friends, my brothers. With my brothers, I felt safe no matter the situation. Now, when I was deployed, I didn't always get along with some of the men that I served with, but I still trusted them with my life. People I argued with and couldn't stand to be around, yet I would, without hesitation, risk my life to protect theirs. Can you imagine that person you really dislike in accounting? We're going to call her Becky. Now, how about that annoying coworker next door who's always on his phone? I'll name him Doug. And by the way, I really hope there are no Beckys and Dougs out here. Match this description. But now picture those people, those intolerable people of your workplace, and yourself in a combat zone. You place all your differences with Becky in accounting and Doug in the cubicle next door aside. It is your responsibility to protect Becky and Doug and them you. Make sure you all make it out of there alive. You really can't afford to stay angry at one another. This type of bond is unique. To live in a place where even the person you like the least will still fight and die for you is one that I cherished. The civilian world is just that. It's a different world. One of the hardest things for myself and other veterans is the re-entry into that atmosphere. Not only do we as veterans have to take the horrors of combat home with us, we have to make sense of a world without the comradeship we once depended on for survival. When I first returned home, I felt I no longer had any friends. I felt I had left my military family, my band of brothers, and was forced to live as an orphan. Many veterans are returning from combat duty. Some veterans are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, others traumatic brain injury, and sadly even military sexual trauma. Veterans may be dealing with a lot, but they don't want to be perceived as damaged goods, handicapped, or incapable. They don't want to be treated special. The military, as you probably know, is not easy. In order to attend college under the GI Bill, the veteran had to have served honorably and completed the contract of service. They're used to succeeding and do not know failure. They are accustomed to following orders, serving a purpose, and accomplishing a goal. After Iraq, I received counseling and treatment for PTSD. Managing my symptoms for PTSD and the prescription drugs that came with it was a tough pill to swallow. I hope you enjoyed that pun as much as I did. It's okay to laugh. I have been prescribed literally dozens of medications, most resulting in negative side effects or providing no benefit whatsoever. I took cocktails of these medications to no avail. I was prescribed meds such as Abilify, Prozac, Nortriptyline, Effexor, Clonazepam, etc. Now, the hardest part during this time in my life was definitely the depression. I was tired of feeling sad. Suicide for me was a viable option. I didn't like myself and I was running out of reasons to stay alive. The unit I had served with in Iraq was again deployed, this time to Afghanistan. Friends I had served with were dying on a regular basis, and I just desperately wanted to join them. Thoughts of suicide were an everyday occurrence. I daydreamt my own death. The thoughts were comforting, and fantasizing about killing myself provided enough peace and tranquility at night for me to finally fall asleep. It was a fallback option for me. I thought, no matter what happens, I'd always kill myself. I planned my own death like a young woman plans a wedding. I thought about where I would do it, how I would do it. I thought, well, I can't do it at home because, well, then the home's property value will drop. Or maybe I'll just do it at the dump, that way there's less cleanup. I thought about writing a note. What, should I write a suicide note? And if I do, should I handwrite it or maybe type it? And if I type it, what kind of font do I use for a suicide note? Should I write a will? Who's going to get my car? Who would better appreciate my coin collection? I even thought about writing a farewell, goodbye Facebook post and all the things I would say there. Depression is a slow way of being dead, and I just wanted to end the suffering. I wasn't sure if the meds were causing me more harm than good. I knew my health and quality of life were not improving with the drugs the VA was having me take. I soon found a drug I felt was working. At least I felt that way at the time. It treated my insomnia, it treated my anxiety, it even helped treat my depression. That drug was heroin. On the evening of September 15th, 2011, possibly one of the greatest things to ever happen to me happened. And I didn't feel that way at the time. I was arrested for driving under the influence and possession of a controlled substance. I had promptly been introduced to rock bottom. The day I was released from jail, I did the only thing that I could do. I went to Penny Bava's English composition class. So I was released on a third-party agreement, which means my parents had to come to class with me, only to add to the embarrassment. My life was a wreck. Life at home was not good. But the people at the college, they helped me, ensuring that I could still make it through the semester and succeed academically. They knew I was in a time of crisis and did what they could to help. How you can help. Get to know your veterans. You might disagree with the war. I have news for you. They might also disagree with the war. They're the ones, after all, who had to fight it. Do not let your disagreement in our nation's foreign policy get in the way of your support to our veterans. I'd like to give you some advice on how to better assist veteran students. Professors, reach out to veterans. Allow students to stand up in the back of the classrooms. Let them know ahead of time of any active shooter or evacuation drills. Inform them of support services that may help them succeed in class. Refer them to Diane Taylor from the Learning Center who can discuss support options they may be eligible for, such as note takers, smart pens and notepads, VA or nonprofit funded tutoring options, and other forms of adaptive technology. I'll give you an example. One of my professors had noticed that I was not behaving in my typical manner, and the professor came to see at the end of the class if I was doing okay. At the time, I had been reeling with the side effects of the new medication and hadn't been sleeping. The professor took my information and then introduced me to Diane Taylor, and Diane set me up with the support options that I was eligible for. I was able to both pass the class as well as finish the semester successfully. Be mindful of veterans' privacy. Having received help with a task can be an emotional and daunting experience. Don't make them regret reaching out for help. One year at UAA at the beginning of class, a professor pointed me out and asked, "Are you the student that needs a note taker?" In front of the entire class. I said yes, I was. He then asked the rest of the class who would want to be my note taker until somebody volunteered. Please don't do that. I don't believe the professor meant to embarrass me. I don't believe he was even aware of what he had done. But please don't do that. understanding that many veterans are underneath a lot of stress, more so than the traditional student. Many Americans agree that they support the troops and the veterans, but how? Helping veterans in the classroom is a way of doing just that. The veterans you come across may be dealing with the effects of medications to treat their service-connected illness or injury. It is important to know that this is often a painstaking and difficult process. The veterans' classroom performance can be negatively impacted. Their behavior may be noticeably affected. For me, finding the right medications that worked was extremely troubling. My behavior and conduct in class was noticeably altered as a result of various constantly changing prescription drugs. Some days the side effects had me falling asleep in class. Other days I was extremely hyper. I would talk a lot. I would talk so much to the point that I was interrupting the professor and becoming a distraction in class. Often I was late, my work was late, and I felt the need to share with the class and professor my incredible insight because I felt so smart at the time. I would interrupt the class with commentary such as, well, I think the Electoral College is flawed and outdated because of the election of so-and-so and this and that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Skinner. But this is beginning algebra. And we continue with the curriculum. And, that's a very good point. I think I'll allow that. Thank you. Professors, be attentive to your students. Veterans are 21% more likely to commit suicide than the average civilian adult. I want you to think about the number 6. Okay? Now think of 6 people you know. They can be 6 coworkers, 6 friends, any 6 people. Do it. Now imagine your life without those 6 people. I have lost 6 friends to suicide. These are 6 people who survived war and made it home. These 6 people did to themselves what the enemy could not. I had a friend named Justin Lane who was gravely wounded in Iraq. He survived an IED blast, but lost his sight as well as his hearing. He underwent treatment and regained his sight, however did not regain his hearing. Justin even went as far as learning sign language at the hospital he was being worked on. Miraculously, he regained his hearing and was able to reuse both senses. He survived an attack that was supposed to have killed him. He lost 2 major senses and got them back. Justin had truly cheated the odds. Justin killed himself 3 years ago. The point I'd like to address and why I brought up the issue of suicide is to bring to light that veterans are more prone to suicide, but also they may be suffering the loss of a fellow veteran that also committed the act. So please be aware of that. As for my message to the college, professors, take from this presentation all that you can. You have the ability to change the life of a student, whether it be a veteran or civilian. I am evidence of that. I came to this college not knowing anything about academics and distrusting of people. I'm now a double major and an active volunteer on this campus. This college took a troubled individual and turned them into an education-craving, avid volunteer. And after all that I've said during this presentation, I don't want you to leave here today thinking I'm any less proud of my service. If I could do it all again, I know that I would. This country that we live in is worth the fighting and the suffering. Myself and other veterans are very proud of our service. It was an honor to defend this place that we call home. In a lot of ways, KPC and going to college has, for me, been more therapeutic than therapy and more medicinal than my many medications. College has enabled me to grow into a better person. You have the power to help a person. You have the ability to change the life of a person. You have the opportunity to make a difference. Now make it happen. Everybody, thank you very much for being here tonight. questions after these. Yes.
I just want to say thank you. I had no idea how sounds that we take every day for granted could have such an impact on anything else. I just appreciate, if nothing else, to say thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for your service, and we really mean it.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Well, Michael, I know this was challenging. I'd like to present you with the 50th anniversary KPC coin with our founding director, Clayton Rockwell, also a vet, Navy, and a scene from the college.
Thank you, everybody.